This is my review for Marriage Boot Camp Reality Stars, Season 17, Episode 6, Love Yourself. Well, we're going to get right into this review. It starts off where it left off, where the altercation between Vado and Tahiri. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but to me, Tahiri is playing the victim card too much. And I don't necessarily like how everybody is coming down on Vado and not, holding Tahiri accountable for some of her actions as well. No, I do not condone domestic violence of any sort, but that goes both ways. She was throwing apples at him, and apples hurt. Okay, their hearts, they are hard. If you throw them with force, they can hurt. She could have did damage to Vado as well. So I don't like the narrative that's being painted like he's the aggressive, he's the abuser, and she's the innocent victim. They both were wrong. Point blank. Period. Tahiri, Tahiri sitting up there saying how she just froze, she didn't know what to do, and then Dr. Ish, he pulled Vado, in his office, and Vado was saying, she was, throwing apples at me and, carrying on. And Dr. Ish said to Vado, well, it's never an excuse. I don't care what she would have hit you with. You still shouldn't have put your hand on her. That's not true, Dr. Ish. You should tell her to keep her hands to herself too. And it's not okay for her to throw anything at him as well. It's like y'all perpetrating the stereotype that, okay, a man can't be abused. No, a man can be physically abused too. Y'all gotta get out of that shit. Tahiri was wrong and Vado was wrong. Point blank, period. He wasn't a monster in this situation. Yes, he was wrong because he took it a little bit too far, but she took it far as well too. I gotta call a spade a spade. People might not like my opinion on this, but truth is true. Real is real. So Vado gotta stay in Dr. Ish's office with security. He's keeping them separate. You hear, because a lot of people were saying how, on social media, a lot of people were saying how none of the men jumped up to defend her, and that was some bullshit, that was some punk ass stuff. But you hear Willie saying how he was in shock, he really didn't know how to react. Then you hear, what's Phaedra boyfriend name? I forgot his name. It'll come to me. So you hear him saying how it's nothing that Vado can say that would justify Medina, that's his name, that would justify, his actions. And then you see Corrupt talking to Tony, and he's saying to Tony, well, she should have never threw the apples at him. And Tony was like, well, I don't give a fuck. He should have never did. He should have never put his hands on her. It's nothing to be able to justify that he was wrong. And then I guess Tony was, she kind of revealed that she was in, some situations of domestic violence in her confessional. Then we see Shauna and Tahiri. They were out on the patio, and Shauna was telling Tahiri how she was strong. And Tahiri was like, well, I'm all I got. I don't have no other choice. And she, consoling her. It was just like, everybody, my thing is, I'm not saying Vado wasn't wrong, because Vado was wrong. But Tahiri was wrong as well. And no one is saying to Tahiri that she was out of pocket. That's all I'm saying. No one is correcting her behavior. Because when Tahiri was talking to Dr. Ish, she was saying to him, well, he was saying to her, well, do you want to press charges? And Tahiri was like, no. And so Dr. Ish was saying, the way you responded to the situation, it makes me believe that you've been through this before. So she said that she had. So in her confessional, she was saying how she don't want people to get it twisted. Vado has never put his hands on her, but in her previous relationships, she was abused. And I think that was Joe Budden, but I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on that. But I think I remember reading that in like the headlines and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that it was him, but I could be wrong. But that was her only other, publicized relationship was with him. So I'm inclined to believe that that's the allegations that she put out on him, because she was saying how You know, sometimes she still have pain from when she get up. I think she had like a broken rib or something from the relationship. She was really getting beat up. And I just, like I said, unpopular opinion, it may be. But they need to stop making it seem like this boy was 100% wrong. He was wrong because he should never let his anger get to the point where he putting his hands on a female. But that shit go two ways. It's a two-way street when it comes to that. That's why your mother always said, keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. Because when you go ahead and you put your hands on somebody else, or you do something to harm somebody else, they got every right to come back at you. Every right to come back at you. Point blank period. So then we seen Phaedra. And Phaedra was kind of on the same tip that I was on. Because she was saying how, they throwing apples, at each other. She was like, that's ridiculous. And she was like, she's against domestic violence, whether it's domestic violence of a woman towards a man and a man towards a woman. Either way is wrong. But the way they're, like I said, the way that they are villainizing Vado is crazy. It's crazy. So we seen Judge Tolan. She was on like a Skype call with the group, with the producers and Dr. Ish, because she was out sick. So they wanted, everybody's opinion on if they were going to let Vado stay or leave. So it was the consensus of the group that Vado, would leave. And Phaedra said it really should have been contingent upon if Tahiri felt safe around him or not. And she actually said that she would have wanted to talk to him, but they wouldn't allow it. And that's when Phaedra was like, well, damn, that's one hell of a cool-off period. So you see Judge Toller, when she was talking to, Dr. Ish, she was saying how she's seen this happen time and time again. People lose control over their emotions, and people feel violated, and then this is the result, and it can't be tolerated in the house. And I agree, you have to set a precedence in the house that physical violence wouldn't be tolerated. But I feel like you should have told both of them to leave. Tahiri should have had the same verbal tongue lashing as Vado. She should have, period. I'm sorry. He was wrong for gripping her up, and she was wrong for hitting him with the apples. It was too aggressive. Two people showing aggressive behavior. She was out of line, and so was Vado. I'm going to keep stressing this. They both was out of line. People got to keep the hands to themselves. Period. So Dr. Ish, he ended up having a conversation with Vado, and Vado was saying that he was mad that he allowed her to take him out of his character. He was saying how, she kept on pushing. And so Dr. Ish was like, well, are you saying she had it coming? And then he slipped up and said, yeah. And he was like, so you see what you saying? So then that's when Vado kind of backtracked, was like, no, that's what I'm saying. She didn't deserve that. So Dr. Ish was saying how he's seen it time and time again, when he tell his patients that come in here that's been, beaten, that if you allow someone to put their hands on you and they have no repercussions, you don't call the cops, you don't, do something to show them that you're not tolerating it, you giving them license to basically do it again. And Vado kind of understood that, and Dr. Ish said, you have to go. Basically, he was like, we can't have you in a house no longer. And Vado, you could tell he was upset about it, but it is what it is. So they didn't actually completely kick him out the house. He has to go to a hotel and cool off, and I guess he'll complete the program there. I'm not exactly sure if they're going to bring him back or how does that work, because Dr. Ish said, by us being that Vado said that it was the first time that it happened, he said, he feel as though he could work with them and get them on the right track, and maybe he can, finish the program. He calls Tahiri and talked to her and let her know what was going on. Tahiri, I don't want to say she played victim, but she is playing it up. She is playing it up. Like he did grip her up. So I'm not gonna say she completely in the wrong because I don't want to victim shame. But I just feel like we gotta put this stuff into perspective as to how everything went down, and it ain't cool on either party. I keep saying it. I'm going to continue to keep saying it. On my Instagram, at Chat with Dree, I had, was going back and forth with a couple people because one girl was highly upset that she thought a lot of people was, coming down too hard on Vado when she was like, Tahiri kept on provoking him the whole time. And I told her I absolutely agree with you. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't agree with physical violence on any part. So I am going to lay blame on Vado and his lap as well. And just like Dr. Ish said, like, I keep telling y'all time and time again, y'all got to keep control over your own, actions. Y'all are in control of your own actions. Y'all can't just be going around doing whatever y'all want to do. And that's exactly true. But I feel like we're not doing our due diligence if we keep on just saying Vado. Tahiri, we need to put some blame on Tahiri as well, because she'll go into her next situation doing the same old crap, and then it might not end well for her. So I think her behavior needs to be corrected as well. That's all I'm saying. And then, they had a flashback when Hazel and Davon was talking when they were sitting on the hammock, and they was talking about the situation. Then they would had a flashback, and when he snatched the phone from Hazel, he wasn't kicked out the house. And then Hazel sitting up there talking to him, talking about, we gotta get married, because he was saying something about the family. And she was like, we gotta get married. And he was like, well, that's coming. But my thing is, y'all need to handle other issues before you'll be worrying about getting married. I mean, I'm just saying. Then Corrupt, he in there pouring a goddamn drink, talk about just a little bit. Listen, and then Tony looking at him like he batshit crazy, because she was like, we day 6 into the program and I still don't know what's going on with us. You know what I mean? And then you get Willie in his confessional sitting up there saying, oh, Corrupt just under a lot of stress. He got a lot going on. And then, with this Vado and Tahiri situation, what that got to do with Corrupt? Why is that stressing Corrupt? See, y'all want to keep making excuses for everybody in this house. Y'all can't do that. Because Tahiri and Vado situation ain't got shit to do with Corrupt. So Corrupt want to drink because Corrupt want to drink. He's an old drunk. That's what the hell he is. A drunk. Okay? And they need to get his ass some help. So, Dr. Ish, he had came to the group and let them know what was going on, how he had to take Vado and send him to a hotel. And Phaedra was saying her confessional, like, as an attorney, she understands why they had to do, things like that. They had to keep the integrity of the program. They got to keep, everybody safe. Is a liability issue. And him being a physician, he has a standard that he has to meet. And that's absolutely true. I feel as though it was a good idea for them to remove Vado. Because it didn't really make sense to remove both of them. And, he was the aggressor in that instinct where, when he jumped up and gripped her up. So maybe it was a good idea to remove him. But I still think it would be in their best interest to let Tahiri know that she was wrong as well. And maybe kind of walk her through her issues that she had, and let her know that her behavior is toxic as well. That's all I'm saying. So then we see Tahiri, she's in her confessional saying how it's been a rough couple days with her little run-in with Hazel, then the fight with Davon and Willie, and then her little issue that she had with, not her little issue, it was a big issue, her and Vado. So Dr. Ish, he had them all in the room, and he was telling them how they will not tolerate physical violence with anyone in the group. Like, it just won't be accepted. So they about to do this exercise, and they gotta write down a lot of things that they may not like about themselves, because it's a lot of inward anger that each one of them have, and it's seeping out to the surface. So they're all writing down, the things that they may not like about themselves. And Shauna said her list is going to be real long because she's really always hard on herself. So first you had Willie. He called him up to the stage. You might as well say to the front. And Willie, first thing he put on there was anger, and he said he don't like the way it make him feel. He don't like the way it shows itself in his relationships and his business relationships, and it's just not something that he like about himself. Phaedra, she said something about perfection, and Tony said she don't like the way people bring out the negative in her. And you know what? When they were going through all that, I was saying, man, that's not a bad idea, to have somebody do some, people do self-reflecting. Then Tahiri get up there and she kind of got emotional, saying she hate her nose. And Dr. Ish was like, why? And then she start crying. So apparently she, is keep coming up with this domestic violence, and her ex-boyfriend broke her nose. She said that it's like a constant reminder of the incident, and if you look closely, her nose is slightly crooked. So then they were having I'm gonna just paraphrase it because I don't remember everything that everyone said. I know Davon said he don't like the fact that he's not 100% independent. We have this was the kicker. We have, it kind of made me feel tight way because Corrupt was saying how he doesn't like the fact, he doesn't know how to really be Ricardo because he don't like the drinking, but he feels as though people don't want to be around Ricardo, they only want to be around Corrupt. And Tahiri was saying her confessional was like, well, anybody that don't want to be around Ricardo, they don't know what they missing, because everybody that know Ricardo know that he's wonderful and he's enough. Corrupt is a good dude, it seems like, but the drinking overshadows everything. Dr. Ish made them all put on the shirts, and Willie was like, it's just like this is the shirt that you don't want anybody else to see. He was like, because it's just a walking reminder of everything that you don't like about yourself. But Shauna made it joke. She was like, you can't even see what yours said. Put the belt on and you covered yours. Because Willie, he was kind of smart. His is all the way at the bottom of the shirt. You can't really tell what the hell Willie was talking about. But that kind of was like a good exercise. It's like, because everybody can see what your insecurities are, what your the things that you hate about yourself. It may have you as a person have to take a harder look at those things and do your work to try to change the things that you don't like. So I get the exercise. I kind of feel in the exercise. So then they all disperse into they little separate groups, or we have Corrupt and Tony. They're going back and forth. Tony is mad at him because he's drinking. Corrupt was saying, well, won't you fill this up? She was like, well, you already had about 6 of those. And he was like, that's not what I'm saying. So they going back and forth. And in the confessional, Corrupt was saying, well, what you with me for then? What you with for? If you always got a problem with everything I'm doing, what you with me for? He was like, I'm with you because I love you. They remind you of that old aunt, because she always mad, always got an attitude. He always trying to turn up, and she always cutting her eye at him like, you better not do it. You better not do it. They remind you of that old auntie and uncle couple that come to their family cookouts or the events and show out. And everybody be like, don't invite them to the goddamn gathering no more. They remind you of those couples or whatever. You like him, but you can't stand her. But then you understand why she is aggressive, because he's a piece of work. It's just... I'm tired of, they giving me a damn headache. Keep watching them. A real headache. Then you have Shauna and Willie. They were in the room, and he was asking her, well, what brings the anger out of you? What you think you can do to change the anger? So she was saying that she kind of mad at herself. It would kind of make her angry because she stood and allowed Willie to mistreat her, like through all the cheating, through all the drama that he put her through. She stayed, and it kind of make her mad at herself because she's allowed it. And then she said in her confessional how she tried to get past the cheating. She said, but it keep playing back in her head, and she really can't. Like, was I not good enough? Was I not this? Was I not that? I mean, I don't know. You seem like the way she explains it is like Willie never put her like on a pedestal. He never treated how she was supposed to be treated. And I'm like, well, what the hell did you stay in that relationship for? She has a lot of resentment too, because when she was up there talking, she was saying how she traded in her dreams, of being a superstar or being a star, and she traded it in for being a mommy. And she was like, she don't regret being a mommy. She said, but she wish she would have still put some of that energy into her, being the star that she dreamed of as a kid. But my thing is, I don't feel like Willie hindered that. It takes two to tangle. You knew, you had children. I'm assuming that you wanted to have children too. But you could have put that, once you had those kids, and I'm not saying it's easy, but if you was determined, you could have still made good on your dreams. You really could. You just popped out another one. So my thing is, did you give up on yourself? How can you get that back? Because if that's the case, work on that. And maybe this will be a good, a good stepping stone for you and Willie, because he can see where you coming from, you see where he coming from, and maybe y'all can meet somewhere in the middle. Because his career ain't going that damn great either. I mean, that's why y'all on these reality shows. I mean, I don't know. So now they all in the kitchen, and you see the girls talking. So Phaedra and Hazel was talking, and how she was saying how Da'Vine used to finesse a lot of different girls on Instagram, and she came through and showed him a different way. But now she wondering if he's there for her, or is it him trying to use this situation. And Phaedra was like, she kind of understood where she was coming at with it. And that's when Hazel was like, a lot of the women in that group there feels the same type way. They got trust issues far as people trying to use them. Then you seen Shauna. She was talking about how she was about to go in on herself, and she felt good about releasing some of that, because Tahiri was saying that she didn't want to wear the shirt. She didn't really want to say nothing, and Shauna was like, I do, because it felt good to release all that stuff. She said she was about to go in a little bit too much. So they all were called out to the patio, and Dr. Ish did make mention, because he having them do like this little exercise, because they going to beat up on these little dummies. And he was like, a lot of people might not understand, him having them, do such a, I guess, physical, somewhat violent activity so soon after the incident. But it's a lot of pent up aggression in there that they got to, deal with. We have all, the groups there. Willie, let me tell you something. First, he took it easy, because they, go back and forth, flashback of each one of them doing it at separate times. First, Willie, he was going in on that freaking dummy towards the end. He was saying he didn't like how he was, he don't like the cheater in him. He don't like the anger in him. Everything that they wrote on those shirts, they were able to like just get their aggression out on those dummies. And I'm like, Willie, he seemed to be doing good with this exercise, and he still to be doing good. But Willie might need to talk to somebody outside of Shauna. He might need his own therapy. It's something there. I can't pinpoint what it is, but it's something there. And Corrupt, he was hitting on the dummy, and he was saying he don't like, drink. He don't like all the drinking that he does. I'm like, Corrupt, if he can get a hold of himself with the drinking, we might got something there. Shauna was saying how she hate, her anger issues. Phaedra is dancing around like a little fairy, talking about she hate that she's a perfectionist. Cause she did state in this episode too that she have a trouble with letting people in her circle. She think everybody, try to use her. Cause that's what she said. She hate what she say? I think she said she hate giving too much. I think that's what she said. Like, Phaedra is one prima donna, because Shauna was saying, Phaedra, you could tell Phaedra is no fighter. So then you had Toni, she was saying she hate that she let people take her out her character. You have Hazel talking about she hate that her rap career had been taken off. But the way she tells us, she the superstar raptress. But now you finally get to the real and say that your career hasn't taken off, which we already knew, because y'all already know. I say she live in an alternate universe that is not the planet that we live on. I don't know what it is, but it's not planet Earth. So Davon was saying he, tired of his anger. They always Tahiri said she, was tired of being looked at as just a video vixen. The list goes on and on. Medina said he's tired of, being so judgmental. They all got issues, like we all do. But it was good to see them embracing it. So Dr. Ish, he released the group and he said that they were done for the day. They, did pretty good. So then you see, like different people, they go branch off to their different, areas. And Willie and Shauna, they were talking first. And Willie was saying how, he don't like the things the anger that she brings out in him. He said, Willie said, if you talk to me nicely and ask me to do certain things, I will do it, and I will do it with a smile on my face. Instead of you getting the opposite reaction because, you don't know how to talk to me. And that saying is true. You attract more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. Like, Shauna, you got to learn how to talk to your husband. He's talking to you. He's trying to communicate. Be receptive of what he's communicating to you, and try to work on it. If you want to still stay with this man, you're going to have to let that cheating shit go. You're going to have to work from this point on. You can't keep holding on to him because you're going to lose him if you truly want him. So now we have Corrupt. He talks about the insecurities that he have in himself and how, that kind of have the insecurities lead into other things. Put it like that. Then, the insecurities that he have in himself, it kind of manifests in other ways. And, the drinking, and I guess he masked a lot of his feelings, because even when he was talking to Tahiri was saying how he did a good job because he put everything into this shirt, like his relationship with the kids, the drinking, the way he took, treat his woman. And Tahiri said, that kind of touched her. So Corrupt is trying to see where he may go wrong, but he still don't fully accept his behavior as well. That's the way I'm getting it. Because Corrupt started talking about how, people don't understand. I lost my mother. People don't understand how they feel to wake up every day without your best friend. Well, to not have the person that, believed in you and loved you unconditionally. And he was like, when Toni came into her life, he brought her joy. She was like the closest thing that came into that joy, I guess, that he once had when his mom was around. And then, that's touching Tahiri, Hart, and Toni still looking up there, still looking all crazy. So Tahiri was like, well, have you ever heard him say that before? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, my family did too. All of my family did too. Like, she is over it. She is like, I guess she know the manipulation or maybe she looking at it as manipulation. Corrupt get teary eyed, talk about I got something in my eye. He seemed like he was about to start crying. He went upstairs. Tony wasn't really having that shit. And listen, I'm not in Tony's shoes. I don't know what the hell she's, endured being with Corrupt. Like I said, I almost forgot they was there for cheating, because it's like you don't really keep hearing them talk about the cheating part, because it's going to come up that she went in Corrupt phone and she said that he was communicating with the homeless girl. Like I said, I forgot that they was on here for cheating. Because his drinking had consumed so much of their storyline. But when I tell y'all, Tony, she is flipping out. So all that, she might have had some sympathy for him when he was, talking about his mom, which it didn't seem like it. Because like I said, she ain't cracked a smile. She ain't get emotional. She ain't get, give him a hug. She ain't do none of that shit. But when you over it, you over it. And that's why I think, for me, looking from an outside point of view, it feels like Tony might be at her wit's end with the relationship, and this probably was her last straw. But it kind of looked like she may need to just say bye to Corrupt until he get himself together, because she ain't here for him, and then he out here still cheating. But maybe he cheating because every time he turn around, Tony got the brick face on. But I would have a brick face on too, because you keep cutting up, drinking every 5 minutes, and messing up. So it's just a mess. So that's all I got for this episode of Marriage Boot Camp. If you guys like the content, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to holler at your girl.